everybody, it's the Higgs joining you from MMO-Play.com, and welcome to today's episode of everything you need to know in the MMO universe, MMO-Play Dailies. Well, today I've just got a short video for you guys about PAX East that just happened this weekend in Boston. I just want to tell you guys some things that really caught my eye, caught my attention. So these are my top things that really excited me. Some of them aren't really MMOs, but they're sort of in the same wheelhouse, so yeah. Blizzard's latest IP, Overwatch, has been the focus of a lot of buzz lately. And quite frankly, although I heard the buzz, I didn't really check out Overwatch until I started looking into PAX East stuff. So if you don't know, Overwatch is Blizzard's attempt at a first-person shooter. It's very team-oriented. It's like a 6v6 shooter style arena, bam, bam, bam kind of shooter. And this weekend at PAX, we got to look at McCree, one of the hero characters in this shooter thing. It's basically a cowboy, android cowboy, that looks almost exactly like the lead character from Red Dead Redemption. He's also, as his belt buckle implies, a BAMF. He's got this revolver, it's a 6-shooter, it basically looks like a one-shot, one-kill kind of weapon, but he's got some reloading time issues, so it seems like a really fun character because on the surface he seems really OP, but I could easily see how if you were cunning and you really stalked this character, McCree, you could easly end up just face-rolling him an entire match, even though he seems very OP. It seems like his thing is that he's very much linked to when he shoots and when he reloads. So if you could time it just right or get him to miss, he's pretty vulnerable. Regardless, Overwatch in general looks really cool, and it's full of already these sorts of interesting tactics that you can already see without really playing it, which probably means that it's gonna be tons of fun. In the world of indie games that really caught my eye, there's a game called Knocked. So this is completely new. I had not heard of this game at all. And the story behind it, the myth, I don't know if it's true, but I hope it's true. It sounds really cool. The myth is that the developer was really just trying to build like a game for him and his friends, like a post-apocalyptic zombie game, but then got so much support that he just kept going with it until he got Knocked. So what is Knocked? Knocked is this post-apocalyptic game. It's not really zombies, it's more these huge insectoid, spider-like creatures that have taken over the planet. And your job is obviously to eradicate them. But the really cool things about Knocked are the combat system and how players engage with other players. First off, the combat system is just a top-down view as if you are watching the Earth from infrared satellites. So think like a Call of Duty special ops mission or something like that. You're looking down at the surface of the planet and controlling units from that view. Now, because that's the system, it also means that the game is monochromatic. It is just gray, black, and white, which is, you hear it and you think, that sounds boring, but then you see it and you're like, that's really cool. Now, apart from the combat system, there's also how players get to interact with each other, and this is where the game really goes into the realm of I have to play this as soon as it's released. What's so great about the system is that as a player, you have the option to open up your server to other players. Now, that server remains open with you and whoever else you bring into it until you die or until the host of the server dies, and then the server's terminated. So this, in my mind, brings up the option of really cool multiplayer experiences that are also completely unique. They can only ever happen once because they only ever happen on your server and then they're gone. And I think that is just awesome. So we can expect to get our hands on Knocked and actually see how all this stuff works in the game in 2015. Another thing at PAX East that caught my eye this year was Fable Legends. If you're a Fable fan, you might be glad to know that now there is a new multiplayer experience coming out called Fable Legends. Looks like Fable, it takes the multiplayer from the last Fable and really pushes it way over the edge. Very competitive style gameplay here. And one of the cool things about the combat here is that it's like a 4 versus 1 system where 4 heroes join up to take down one villain, and that villain is controlled by a character. Now that villain can use all sorts of shenanigans to derail the attempts of the 4 heroes trying to kill him or her. And that whole system also encourages players to really try out different styles of gameplay to take down that villain and not to get too comfortable just doing one thing. And we can expect to see Fable Legends on the Xbox One and PC sometime in 2015. Now, in the world of huge publishers doing huge things, there is Final Fantasy 15. I gotta be honest with you guys, I have not been excited for a Final Fantasy game in quite a while, probably 12, and that was what, 5, 6, 7 years ago? But this one, although initially I looked over it and I glossed over it, taking a closer look at what they did at PAX this year has really piqued my interest for this title. First off, the very first thing you notice about this game when you start looking at the concept art and playthrough videos that are available right now is it's super dark. And I don't just mean like subject matter and content wise, I mean the look of the game itself is very dark. But then on top of that, there's this cool mix of something that I think Final Fantasy has always done well, and they really took it to another level in this title. This really interesting mix of fantasy elements with technological elements smashed together to create this strange hybrid. So right off the bat, the game looks different than a lot of Final Fantasies you've seen in the past. But then the game itself, how you actually move through the universe here, is completely different than I think every Final Fantasy. And when I say completely different, I don't mean they went from, a tree system, talent system, to like a circular orbital talent system. I mean, it's a different game. I mean, it is a different combat system entirely. Basically, it seems like they've taken on the ideas proposed in games like Kingdom Hearts and run with it. So what you're left with is a completely action-based combat system where you are simultaneously moving and slashing and casting spells and also supporting your allies while they're supporting you and somewhat controlling them at the same time. Whatever it is, the thing that's absolutely certain in my mind is it's different. It's way different. So the combat system doesn't feel like Final Fantasy combat usually feels, where you roam into something, a static or roaming creature, monster, whatever. You engage in that little cutscene that takes you into, or graphic that takes you into the combat, and then you do your little turn-based combat until the thing's dead. That entire Final Fantasy system is gone. In this one, you are in direct control over the action. You are hacking, you are slashing, you are pushing through an onslaught, it seems like at time, an overwhelming wave of enemies. You are able to warp to different points in the battlefield, it seems like at will. So I had read a lot about Final Fantasy 15 before PAX East, but seeing it in action and seeing what people are saying about it and reading, Reddit and Twitter and seeing how people are genuinely getting sucked into this game in a way that they haven't been sucked into a Final Fantasy title in years has really got me excited for this, and maybe hopefully please returning to the franchise that's one of the originals for me that really got me sucked into RPGs. So that's going to do it for me today, guys. Again, I said short video today. We will come back with a full one tomorrow, and we'll probably be talking about even more PAX stuff then. I've been the Hicks from MMO-Play.com. Please do like this video, subscribe to this channel, spread this video all over the place, and check back tomorrow for even more PAX news. I'll see you there.